And if we don't agree with it, what we use is we weaponize our vagina. And for men, they express love oftentimes through sexual intimacy. The consequence of him fully acknowledging how he feels, if she doesn't agree with it, she cuts off the affection and sex. And today I want to talk about one of the most pervasive reasons, I think, not the only, but one of the most pervasive reasons why I think that a lot of men don't openly express their feelings and emotions, and they are not always honest about where they are in the relationship. So let me just tell you about one of my clients. So my client, Darren, 40, black man, married to Cheryl, and what he has shared with me is that he feels increasingly isolated, lonely, frustrated, because every time he and his wife get into a disagreement, the consequence of him fully acknowledging how he feels, where he is, what he wants, and if she doesn't agree with it, she cuts off the affection and sex. Yes, sex freeze. And what ends up happening is, in her withdrawing her affection and in her refusing to be willing to kind of talk about it and open herself up to reconnection, even if there has been a tiff, that basically is leaving him feeling like he is punished for being honest. The honesty is about where he is, how he feels, what he thinks. There isn't a space for him to fully be himself. And so what a lot of men, and I have interviewed quite a few men around this topic of codependency, men are behaving codependently because they are shutting down and not really being honest. They don't think that we always listen to them, and we hear what it is that we are interpreting and not what they are actually saying. And so when they do show up and they are honest about where they are, what they think, what they want, because we already oftentimes as women have a filter, everybody has a filter on them, but we are interpreting what they're saying. Like you're saying this, but the undergirding of what you're saying is really this. And if we don't agree with it, what we use is we weaponize our vagina. We weaponize our affection and our love and our sense of connection with them. And for men, they express love oftentimes through sexual intimacy. That is how they oftentimes express love and connection, where women express it through more of the open-heartedness, sort of the attention, and we can talk our way even into that. And so when we shut that down for them, like we shut down that very thing that causes them to both give and receive love, then we are not only abusing them sexually and emotionally, we are depriving ourselves and demonstrating a level of immaturity. I had a coach of mine once say to me that women, let me see if I can get it right. Like men give love through, men, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this right, but the main thing that I really want to convey here is that women we sometimes weaponize our vagina. That is the place where men oftentimes can find and connect in a loving way with a woman. And it is unfair, and it is at the expense of the emotional connection when we do that. And so it stifles honest communication. There is then a power imbalance that is taking place in the relationship. And moreover, in this case, Darren is like walking around on eggshells, trying to make sure that he doesn't say like the wrong thing that is going to set her off. That is no way to live in a relationship, in a marriage, because Trust is the undergirding of all of these relationships, and then communication is what shores up the infrastructure. But there can't be honest communication, and thus there cannot be true trust. There can't be trust. So these are all indicators of codependency. On the wife's side, the codependency is using manipulation to get what you want, which is for him to agree with you, to concur, to do what you want him to do. On Darren's side, the codependency there is silence, not being honest, and telling the truth regardless of what that consequence is. What I've recommended to this couple is coming into coaching, and if they don't want to do coaching, counseling or marriage therapy, because there has to be a space where there is an objective intermediary who can listen to both sides and can help clear the way so that both people can not only hear, but understand what is really being said. They also need to come up with some new standards on how they interact in their relationship. Remember, I've told you, you don't need boundaries when you have standards. We don't spend enough time putting relationship standards in place. Standards are how you take a stand. They are a code of conduct. Standards are like a code of conduct. It's how we behave in the relationship. And one of the things that we're not going to do is to victimize our partner such that they feel wounded, like they feel like we intentionally wound them, and thereby preventing them from really showing up as their full and authentic self. So one of the things that I've suggested to both Darren and Cheryl, and I'm going to suggest it to you, if you are one of those people that's putting the thought on, or you are the person that's getting the big chill, I want to invite you to click the link below where you will find my free 3 to 5 minute codependency quiz. This is going to give you a great indication of whether or not codependency is running roughshod in your relationship. And we're going to follow that up by inviting you to come to my Conquer Codependency Bootcamp. It's just 30 days out of your life. I've made sure it's at a price point everybody can afford. And I've given you a couple of options. But most importantly, I want to be the one that guides you through restructuring how you engage in your relationships. Because it's time out for all the drama. It's time out. Don't we want to spend our time being loving and loved on, rather than being in friction and conflict and in battle? Nobody wants that. Time and life is too short. So click the link below to get the codependency quiz. And then I'd also like to invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, because there is a ton of free content here that is going to benefit you. You keep coming back, because if it works, keep working it. That's what I'm here for. I'd like you to leave some comments. And moreover, I want to be able to invite you to come into the studio with me so that we can have a conversation. You don't even have to come on camera if you don't want to. Okay? So that's it for today's show around the sex freeze and thawing out the silent treatment that we oftentimes give our partners when we are in disagreement. I want to remind you that today is the day that we take back, transform, and begin to win at the game called life. I'm Tracey Knight, and I'm your codependency coach.